Coming to the first stanza of the poem Ode on a Grecian Urn, first verse reads, "Thou still unravished bride of quietness." That is the first verse of this poem. Now he begins with thou, which means you, unravished bride of quietness. He is calling urn as unravished bride. Unravished means pious, pure. Now, he is creating two images in front of us. One is an image of bride, and the other is of piousness, of purity, and then the silence and quietness. These are four important words that need to be focused at the very in the very first verse of this poem. What does this reflect, or what message does these words give us? It tells us that the narrative that is going to be in this poem, or the information that we are going to get about the urn, is going to be a kind of a monologue which would be given to us or brought to us by the poet. Why? Because this urn is like a bride, and conventionally, traditionally, bride does not speak. You know, when one becomes a bride or a groom, it is said that you speak less. And if, urn is a bride of 19th century, she would be absolutely on mute mode. So, urn is not going to speak. And further, the doublet that he uses, silence and quietness, both give similar kind of a meaning. So, it emphasizes that urn is going to be silent in this poem. And all the interpretation about the urn, or information about the urn, would come through the lips of the poet itself. Then he says in the second verse, "Thou foster child of silence and slow time." Again, he is repeating the word silence in the second verse of this stanza. So, which emphasizes the idea that urn is going to be silent object, or a silent person. Furthermore, he has personified this urn here. When he is talking, using the words like silence, or when he uses the word bride, when he uses the word unravished, when he uses the word thou, or foster child in the second verse, all these hint that this object, that is urn, has been personified. Now, personification is a technique where an inanimate object is presented to us as if it is animate, or is alive, or is a human being. So, urn here is a human being, but he is like bride, he is quiet, and he is the foster child of silence and slow time. Now, silence and slow time would refer to the time period of this urn, which is, say for example, it's a Grecian urn, which means it could have been painted or composed some 2000, 3000 years ago. So, 2000 and 3000 years ago, the time, is a long time period. So he says that you are of a slow time, and slow time is again important here, because slow time refers के इस पे time का कोई असर नहीं होता. मतलब it has not vanished in time, it has not been destroyed, it has fought the battle of the time very well. As we know कि time जो है वो हर चीज को खत्म कर देता है, तेजी से खत्म करता है, जल्दी से खत्म कर देता है. But when it comes to urn, it has survived all the assaults, all the attacks of time. Sylvan Historian, who can't thus express a flowery tale more sweetly than our rhyme. Sylvan Historian. Now, Sylvan Historian is a reference to a historian of the old time. Sylvan refers to wood or forest. So, a historian who lives in forest, who lives in, we can say that to a person who lived in Stone Age. So, how did the Sylvan Historian write the history? Well, obviously, he wasn't having, a lot of ways of, writing a history. So, he would also do similar kind of things as do the poets, which means that those people back then, how would they preserve the history? वो अपनी history कैसे preserve करते? If you remember, in the old age or in the days bygone, people would paint on stones. एक बहुत ही एक नॉर्मल सा एक ट्रेडिशन होता था कि जो भी चीजें होती थी, जो हिस्ट्री होती थी, वो हमको पत्थरों पे पेंटिंग के जरिए मिलती थी. या लकड़ियों पे की हुई पेंटिंग से मिलती थी. Now this is how they would preserve, because they were not having the means of words, writing or pages on which they would write the history. How would they express the history? They would express the history by, by carving the stones, by carving the woods, and then those stones and woods would preserve the history of that times. And what poet is doing here, he says that the job was almost same, like we do, that is the poets do in the Romantic age, by writing poetry, by writing books that they preserve history. The Sylvan historian used to work on urns. वो हमको अपनी तारीख, अपनी हिस्ट्री हम तक कैसे पहुंचाता था? पेंटिंग के जरिए। अब वो पेंटिंग किस पे करते थे? किसी भी चीज पे करते थे, पत्थर पे करते, अर्न पे करते, लकड़ी पे करते, ठीक है ना। और उसी की एक मिसाल, उसी की एक एग्जाम्पल हमारे पास एक ग्रीशियन अर्न है, जो कि एक जमाने की तारीख को रिप्रेजेंट करता है, हिस्ट्री को रिप्रेजेंट करता है। What leaf-fringed legend haunts about thy shape of deities or mortals or of both? Leaf-fringed legends, leaf-fringed would be a legend, a deity who is decorated or painted on a leaf. You understand? तो कहता कौन है जो who haunts about thy shape, who wants to know about thy shape, about thy art, about thy painting. All, immortal beings, mortal beings, they want to know about your truth, about your message, about your essence. In temple are the dales of Arcady. Everywhere. चाहे वो religious लोग है, for example, when he is referring to temples, so religious men are also quite curious to know about you. Are the people in the dales of Arcady? Arcady would be a mountain, is a reference to a mountain. So he says the valleys of Arcadia are also eager to know about thy shape. So the people are consistently asking questions, or thinking, or pondering about thy shape. Okay, what does your shape mean? And all these people, all these, whether they are the deities, all these people, whether they are the religious men, whether they are the poets, whether they are a common man, they have got certain questions which they ask about thy shape, about the shape of urn. उसको देख के उनके जहन में जो है कुछ सवाल आते हैं। वो क्या सवाल है? What men or God are these? One of the question that strikes them is, कौन लोग हैं ये? What men or God are these? कौन से जमाने के लोग हैं? किस वक्त के लोग हैं? कहां के लोग हैं? कैसे लोग हैं? कैसी डाइटीज है? कौन सी सिविलाइजेशन है? ये सारे सवाल जो है उनको उनके जहन में आते हैं when they look first upon you. So the first impression that we get कि on this urn there is a painting of some human beings, some men and some deities. Another question that strikes them, what maiden sloth? Sloth means uneasiness, or unwillingness, or unacceptance. So maiden sloth. So we get an idea that on this urn there is a painting of a maiden, of an unmarried woman, and she is unwilling to do something. So they ask that who is this maiden? Why is she unwilling? Why is she uneasy? They do not get the answer, but they have this question in their mind. What mad pursuit? So another question that they ask is that there may be some people who are in pursuit of someone. Pursuit कहते हैं ताक़ुब करने, किसी का पीछा करना, किसी के पीछे भागना. So there may be some men जो किसी के पीछे भाग रहे हैं. So they are also asking a question about this mad pursuit. What struggle to escape? There is another question that people ask. Maybe there is someone who is trying to escape. So if there are some people who are running after someone, so he is trying to escape. So he is struggling. So they ask that what is this struggle about? Why is he struggling? For what is he struggling? From whom does he want to escape? What pipes and timbrels? Another question that they ask is, there are some musicians who are holding these musical instruments in their hands, the pipes and the timbrels. Timbrels means, dholak. A pipe would mean bansuri, the old age music instrument. So they ask who are they? What are these instruments? And the last question they ask is, what wild ecstasy? What's this happiness all about? How are these people so much happy? What brings this ecstasy to them? Ecstasy means an extreme kind of happiness. Now these are some of the questions that haunt people when they look on this urn. This was the first stanza of this poem. And what does it tell us? It tells us that this urn, which is just a vessel type, and on it is painted something, but this painting, narrates the history of a civilization, of a life. Now, what is life all about? Life is about men and deities. Life is about woman. Life is about struggle. Life is about, mad pursuit. And life is about music. Life is about ecstasy. Now, these are 5 questions that he asks here, which means that this is how he praises this urn. He says that this is only an urn, only a painting, but it would tell you about life. It would tell you about every aspect of life. Now, this mad pursuit can be anything. This mad pursuit can be the pursuit of people, who struggle in daily lives, who struggle for food, who struggle for wealth, who struggle for health, who struggle for relationships. It could be anything. Or it could also refer that the struggle for a sexual assault, for example, upon a maiden. It could reflect that also. So we can interpret it in any ways. Maiden's sloth is again an important aspect, because if we go back to that civilization, we come to know that women weren't having enough rights in our society. So they may be unwilling to do something, but then they were forced to do that despite their unwillingness, despite their uneasiness. So that is not only a question of a struggle or an escape, but that's a question that how a civilization lived in those times. So this is what this urn reflects. And what struggle to escape? Now, struggle to escape would be from the difficulties of life, from the troubles of life, or in context of that maiden, it could be, escape from those harsh traditions, harsh conventions. And then timbrels and pipes reflects the musical side of that age. And ecstasy is something, there are people who are happy also. Life is not all about miseries. It's about happiness also. So this urn is a simple painting, but it is like a Sylvan historian, a historian of the old times, who just by small carvings or paintings would tell you the tale of a complete civilization. That was the first stanza of this poem. And now, next we will take up the second stanza of this poem and read what further he has to tell us about this urn.